Well, welcome back to the Learn of Dylan podcast. Today, I have a very special guest joining me, Reece, who is a communication expert. Wanted to get Reece on today. We wanted to dive into a few topics that we're just genuinely interested in around one, being a better communicator, two, the art of persuasion. Three, I would like to talk about body language, like how to read body language and just how to understand how to communicate with someone better. So welcome aboard, Reece.
Hey, well, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm looking forward to getting stuck in. Where do we start? Where do we start? There's so much that we can speak about.
Yeah, so first, for people who don't know you, I do feel like you've just got to give a little bit of a brief story of who you are, what you do, and what got you into becoming a communication coach.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Reece. I'm the owner of Progress Playground, which is a speech and communication platform to help people speak with influence and poise. Now, how do I start this? How did I start this rather? Well, I have a very dramatic background, which is a clue within itself. I went to a drama school, an established drama school in the UK that specialized in rhetoric, which is the art of influence, persuasion, and inspiring action within people right there. So as I'm in drama school now, I'm realizing that all of these skills are just life skills, communication skills, the art of influence, of course, the ability, understanding confidence and how it works, how to speak to people, stage presence, how to communicate on stage as well. This is all just communication. So after 3 years of drama school and 5 years of being in the industry, I realized, okay, cool, let me try and coach this. And lo and behold, the first few people who I coached for free, by the way, had dramatic results. And I was thinking, damn, I should have charged them. But
Yeah.
now we're here. Yes,
Now,
that's how I started.
yeah. Now you're here. Now you're on many podcasts, and you're spreading a message all around the world. I absolutely love your content because, as I've said before, it is very specific. I find
Mm.
what you do, you don't just do the normal communication stuff. Like, you're very nuanced with what you do, and that's what I really appreciate about your content. So the first thing that I'd love to speak on is just some general tips that you would teach someone who wants to improve their communication skills. So if there was three things that you'll get someone to focus on, let's say over the next 30 days, what would they be?
Of course. So, first of all, we need to understand, we need feedback. We need automatic feedback. So, the first thing I would get people to do in general, or advice that I would give, is to do impromptu speeches. This is what I did to take my communication skills to the next level as well. So, set a timer for 2 minutes. Let's really exhaust ourselves here. Set a timer for 2 minutes and speak to the camera for 2 minutes straight. Now, as you do this, well, at the end of this, you will understand your own flaws, your own bad habits, and also your good habits as well when you're speaking. So you have automatic feedback right there. Now, what we can do is tailor this feedback and understand, okay, cool. So I use excessive filler words. I use all the time. I use ums all the time, or I'm too expressive with my body language, or I'm not expressive at all with my body language. So with this now, we have that automatic feedback. You now see exactly what you need to improve on. So what's the next step? So after doing this for around, let's say, 21 days, for example, 2 minute impromptu speeches for 21 days straight, what you'll find is you'll slowly become better at speaking on the spot. You will use less filler words because you're going to be replacing them with pauses. And it's so much easier for your thoughts to just, it's like a stream of consciousness. Someone can throw a subject at you and you can speak on this subject extemporaneously on the spot. Now, after this, we take it out into the public. So we start to speak to people in public. We approach strangers. I think they call it cold approaching, basically. So we can cold approach people. And as we're cold approaching people, I like to use certain frameworks. So the framework which I love is CIA: compliment, introduce, and ask questions. So you compliment them And automatically this disarms them and makes them feel seen and heard. Hey man, I really like those shoes. Then we introduce ourselves. So my name is Reece, nice to meet you. After you've had a little conversation over that compliment. And then you ask further questions that could be centered around the compliment, or it could just be a question in general. So how long have you been here for? I know it's very generic, or do you come here often? Very generic, but it works. So I love this framework. And this is where you'll use those impromptu speeches or speech practice to better these conversations. And now afterwards, join a Toastmasters club. This is the third step. Join a Toastmasters or join some sort of public speaking society. And now, after with this triad, you've worked on so many parts of your communication that it's ridiculous. You've worked on the impromptu speaking, speaking on the spot. You've worked on the pressure of speaking to one, and now you're working on the pressure of speaking from one to many. And this is the triad that I encourage everyone to indulge in.
I love that. And just to add on to that last bit about talking to a group. So, one really great thing I heard the other day was instead of thinking that you're talking to 10 people, just think that you're talking to like one person at a time.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Absolutely, of course. This is one of the best things that you can do to limit your anxiety when you're speaking and to make everyone feel seen and heard and to improve your confidence. So, when you are doing a public speech or in a board meeting, for example, don't imagine everyone, don't speak to the room. You speak to individuals in the room. Why? Because it allows everyone to feel seen and heard. For example, imagine you're in an audience of 100 people and the speaker looks directly at you and speaks directly to you. How would you feel? How would you feel actually? Yeah.
I'd feel seen. I'd feel acknowledged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'd feel acknowledged. Well, the speaker does that to another person in the room and does that to another person in the room. And before you know it, over the span of 5 minutes, for example, everyone's with you. Everyone's thinking, rooting for you as well. Everyone wants to know more about you because you've given them the time of day. You've made them feel seen and heard. And let's say by the end of the speech, you've built rapport just with eye contact. You've built rapport with so many people that they're just listening. They're with you 24/7. They're with you. So this is one of the best techniques or the best ways to build rapport on stage and to build authority when you're speaking on stage as well. Have you ever done a one to many speech or spoken one to many?
I have. And the last one I remember was at one of my very good friends' weddings where I was the best man. You know, it's the best man speech. And I remember this was actually probably 5 to 7 years ago. I was up on the little podium. I had my phone and I've like done a big speech and I was reading it out and I remember my hand was like shaking.
I know.
And it's funny looking back at that moment because I've like back then I wasn't really interested in communication skills, but now like my job is in sales and I've just I don't know, I've just really dived down the rabbit hole of communication skills because I do believe it is one of the most powerful tools that opens up so many doors in your life. And I can say that like that's happened to me. Like I've created so many opportunities in my life from just my communication skills, being able to approach anyone, being able to start a conversation, just being friendly, and it's paid off. So that's why I love continuing to learn about it and also encouraging people to be like, oh, maybe I should, look into this, or maybe I should look into social skills more because it opens up so many doors.
It really does. It really
Mm.
does. And one thing I've actually noticed about you as well from previous conversations is you're very good at listening. You are exceptional. You're a very good listener, an exceptional listener. And I presume, well, that could come from your background of just being a curious child, or it
Yeah.
comes from your sales skills as well,
Yeah.
or an amalgam of the two, which
Yeah.
is and it's such an important skill, listening, such an important skill. In
I love
fact,
that.
They say we have two ears and one
Yeah.
mouth.
So yeah, so we covered the impromptu speaking. What would you go to next?
So impromptu speaking, then there's the one-to-one speaking,
Yeah,
CIA, and there's the one-to-many afterwards. So
yeah,
the the signing up for a Toastmasters
yeah.
clubs or some sort of public speaking club. And I wanted to mention very briefly as well, eye contact thing, holding eye contact with different people.
Mm,
So
okay.
it's not only important for building rapport, but it's also important for ourselves and easing our anxiety. So I've mentioned this before, but the easiest way to alleviate or to get rid of your self-consciousness is to do the opposite, is to be conscious of the other person. Because what is self consciousness? It's you being conscious of yourself, way too conscious of yourself. And a mentor of mine once told me that you being self conscious is you being selfish. So stop being selfish, Reece, and pay attention to other people. So to bring that into the eye contact thing now, if you're making eye contact with people, you're no longer thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the other person, the person that's in front of you. You're analyzing them, seeing how they're reacting to what you're saying, and you can adjust your message to that as well. So that's another reason why the eye contact thing is so important when you're speaking to people, one to many rather.
I love that. Yeah, eye contact goes a very long way, and a good firm handshake as well. My dad always taught me, don't you dare shake a man's hand with a floppy fish hand.
Exactly. Like, what's going on here? They feel like they're crushing your hand, it's all like
Yeah.
that.
So we'll jump on to the next topic now. So we wanted to dive into the art of persuasion, and I think we could wrap body language into that as well. So who is some of your favorite influences in the space of persuasion, and what have you learned from them?
Okay, I'm going to go down a non generic route here. This might seem obvious, but not obvious at all. So when it comes to persuasion, there are many different techniques. There are psychological techniques and there's the rhetoric route. Let's go down the rhetoric route, for example. Obama. Now, as we know, he's an amazing speaker in general, public speaker in general. Now, he uses, when we go back to rhetoric is the idea of influence, persuasion, and inspiring action within people. And it goes back to Aristotelian times and all of that stuff. Now, in rhetoric, there's this thing called the triad called ethos, pathos, and logos. And Obama is known for using this all the time in his speeches. So, ethos is our ability to appeal to credibility, who we are, what we stand for, why we're credible for speaking about whatever we're speaking about, for example. So, as a speech and communication coach, I can tell you that it's not about what you say, but how you say it that really captures people in. So instantly I've drawn you in.
I wanted to say something. You gave me shivers.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know why. Like whatever you're talking about, like it
yeah.
must like I must be genuinely really interested in it. Continue on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
So ethos, yeah. It's about how you say it that really captures people. So I've mentioned that I'm a speech and communication coach. Now, if I want to accelerate this, I could add data to it as well. 95% of my clients, well, I've realized with 95% of my clients, they struggle with filler words, yes, but it's because they struggle to articulate their thoughts. And it's because they're too self conscious as well.
Mm,
So 95% of my clients, I haven't told you that I'm a speech and communication coach, but I've told you that I have clients and 95% of them suffer from one thing. So that must mean I'm someone of importance. Who is this guy?
mm,
So win in a more covert manner. So
mm.
this is your ability to appeal to credibility. Then there's pathos, your ability to appeal to emotions. So as human beings, we feel before we think. So if you want to inspire action within people, you need to get them to feel something. And fun example, well, not so fun example, actually, quite controversial, but usually when it comes to these adverts, for example, on these charity adverts, where they get you to donate to a child or a dog or an animal or whatever, and you see the child, starving kid, haven't eaten in days, or an animal with two legs, for example. They really hit you with the emotions. They get you to feel, donate to this dog Bobby. Only $5 a day could help this dog Bobby get food or get surgery that he really needs. They hit you with the emotions. And this is pathos, your ability to appeal to emotions. So we can use this within our speeches, for example. You get people to feel something. We do this through storytelling. We do this through sensory language. We do this through evoking the emotions. Now, logos, this is your ability to appeal to logic. So get people to think. How do we stimulate thinking? Well, first of all, we can ask questions. If you struggle to articulate your thoughts, when was the last time you really struggled to capture people on stage with your presence? And you answer the question, why do you think that was? And then we really dive deep into this. We ask why? Not too many times because we don't want to exhaust them.
Mm.
And then eventually they start thinking more and more and more and more and more. And this captures them again. So we've stimulated the mind now. Another way, a simpler way, is to just use data-driven evidence. 95% of people, 50% of people do this, etc., etc. So this is the triad that Obama uses all the time when he's speaking: ethos, pathos, and logos, to influence and persuade. Right there.
I love Obama. I would say Tony Robbins is another great one. I love Tony Robbins. Who is another one of your
And
favorites?
Robin, Obama. Who else is there? Oprah is weirdly good at this. She uses a lot of emotive and emotional language to capture people in. There's also a guy called hypnotherapist called Marcel Klein, very good at this as well. A lot of energy there. Ooh,
What
many
are,
people.
what are your thoughts on the FBI negotiator, Black Swan? I can't think of his name right now, but he's a very, very famous.
Oh, we're talking Chris Voss.
Yes. What are your thoughts? That's Persuasion 101. I'd love to chat on that. What are your thoughts behind his teaching, his message? Have you looked into his stuff?
I have. I
Yeah.
have. I have. So there's something called elicitation, which he talks about quite a lot, actually. Covertly talked about it. So elicitation, what is it? It was a technique used by the FBI or the CIA to draw sensitive information out of people. So
Mm.
how it works is, instead of me, if I were to ask you a question, oh, how was your day today? You're probably going to be thinking, oh, okay, how was my day? It was either good. You're going to give a generic response, good, bad, whatever. Or you might be thinking, okay, what's the best way to answer this? Okay, how do I answer this? So you're thinking, basically. Whereas if I give a statement, oh, I imagine you've had a good day today, an assumption, randomly, it automatically gets you to
Yes.
open up. You're no longer thinking
Yeah.
about the question. This feels like a natural part of the conversation. Now, this goes back to, I can't remember the originator of elicitation. His name was John Nolan. That's the one. His name is John Nolan. So he was, I think it was a marketer in the 50s or whatever. He wrote a book on this, amazing book. It's no longer available on Amazon, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
exactly, it says a lot. But
Uh,
essentially, it's very good for getting people to open up. You can have a whole conversation with just statements alone. Imagine that. Terrible. Oh, that seems crazy. No way. Really? What? People slowly start to open up the more you use these elicitation statements. And it's so interesting. And there are different types of elicitation. Please go for it. Please
I'd
let me
love
know.
to share one. So there's one in sales where if someone says, I'm just feeling very frustrated or it's just been frustrating, then
Mm,
you just repeat back that word and you say
mm,
frustrating. And they'll be like, yeah, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. And they open up
yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, and it makes sense. We're mirroring the language right there.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them feel seen and heard as well.
Exactly right. And that is such a powerful thing to be seen and heard. And there's many others, like someone could say, I'm pissed off. And then you just repeat back pissed off in a
Mhm.
tone, like a curious tone. And they'll be like, yeah, this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. So you could do that if you want someone to open up to you, do that. Secret. Yeah.
Fairly simple, right?
It is very
But
simple. Yeah.
uh, complicated all the
Yeah.
time. It's so interesting.
Well, I'd love to wrap this into body language because
Sure, for sure.
persuasion and body language go hand in hand. One thing that we spoke about earlier is just understanding when you're looking at someone, you can actually look at their eye blink rate.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'd love to talk about persuasion, body language. Yeah. Just like reading people. Can you talk on the blinking eye rate first?
Yeah, absolutely. So, fun experiment that I used to do. So, there was, and this happened because my phone died and I was on the tube in London, basically. No, my phone's died. No more technology. What's going on? My crazy brain, like, this is insane. So, I decided, okay, cool, phone in my pocket. I am going to just analyze people, just analyze. And I have a fairly decent grasp on body language. So, what I'd realized is there's, let's start from the top actually.
Great.
So, when people are relaxed, they have a very steady blink rate in general. And psychologically speaking, it's because we want to take in as much information as possible. Okay, well, that's interesting. So when you're in a conversation and when you see people in a conversation and they're engaged, they're going to have a very low blink rate. Whereas if they're disengaged or they're thinking about something excessively or they're irritable, they're going to have a really fast blink rate. And that's what I've seen on the tube. Now, if you were to take that to a public speech, for example, and you're speaking to one to many, if you see people and they have a very slow blink rate, you can see that they're engaged in what you're saying. Whereas the opposite, if they have a very fast blink rate, they're probably disengaged or thinking or confused even. So we can use this to change to as insight into what's going on in their mind. And we can now change our message as a result of that as well. It's such a strong superpower. And likewise, if you said something that might have, let's say, aggravated them, for example, then you usually see that that's usually accompanied with fast blink rate, which is
Mm,
so interesting and fascinating. So that's one aspect of body language which we need to look out for. Another one that I've seen is, and simply put, basically, as human beings, we tend to cover something called our ventral side. So our ventral side is where we have all of our organs and we want to protect our organs. So if we feel insecure or offended, automatically it feels like a physical attack at times. So we cover up. We cover up the stomach, the vital organs, the throat, for example. We cover up all of these places. So if someone covers up as you're speaking or as you mention something that might have offended them, you have data points. So we're racking up these data points slowly but surely. You have the data point of the cover up, you have the data point of the fast blink rate. Another one we need to look out for is lip compression. So, as human beings, as babies, for example, how would we communicate to our mothers that we don't want milk or that we're not hungry? Obviously, we can't speak. So, we tend to do this. No, that means no. So, if you say something and they disagree with it, they might do that. So now we have so many data points, and this is what it's all about under the body language world: building data points, understanding their baseline, and if they shift off baseline and exhibit covering of the ventral side, lip compression, fast blink rate, all of that stuff, even crossing their legs away from you. So let's say you're here, crossing their legs away from you. What have you done? What have you done to offend this person? So this is influence and persuasion at its finest, coupled with body language.
I love that. And I would love to share a couple of things that I learned off Jefferson Fisher about
Mm,
body language. So I was listening to him chat to a good friend who was also a communication expert, and he was saying that one of the things he was saying is that humans, we
mm,
always look at each other's hands first.
mm.
So people might think that we look at people's eyes first, say like first impression, you will always look at someone's hands. Like you might not think about it, but it's just how we're wired because back in the day,
Yeah.
people had spears in their hands. And
True.
so like if you're walking around with like open hands, and you would know this as well, if you're showing your hands in videos you're going to come across more trustworthy than like having them behind your back or like this. Showing your hands, that was quite interesting. Another one was actually about it was the lip compression one. Can't exactly remember what she was saying, but she said if someone doesn't agree with you, they will like peel up their lip or something.
Like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
micro expression. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I can't
basically
remember what
just
it's called. But
yeah,
yeah.
that oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That that one's that one's interesting. I don't know much about it from a psychological or from an ancestral perspective, but disgust. There we go.
Yes. Yes. That is the yeah, they were saying something about the lips, it comes up.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
All
It's these
right.
small data points that we're adding. Did you want to say something there?
No, no, no. I was just going to say, was there any other body language tips or persuasion tips that come to mind that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So, fun one actually. When it comes to, and I want everyone to do this
Yeah, yeah.
after this, after they watch this, I want everyone to do this. When, as you approach someone, as you're buying your croissant or something, excuse my poor French accent, you're buying your croissants, there we go, or you're buying a coffee, whatever. I want you to approach the person and flash your eyebrows. Hey, how's it going? And 90% of the time, what you'll find is they will flash their eyebrows back. And this is how we know they're, let's say, compliant in a way. So, hey, how's it going? And they flash theirs back. You know that you're building rapport points right there. So play around with this. And it's just a general sign of friendliness in general. We do this unconsciously a lot of the time. If someone flashes their eyebrow, we think, hey, how's it going as well? And this is something that you can play around with as well. So this is another thing that we can play around with to build rapport from the very first word that you spout or that comes out of your mouth. And it's incredible. It's incredible. Also, from a body language perspective, people tend to peacock. People tend when they're trying to display confidence or bravado, people tend to do this. People open up. They show their feathers. So if you see someone who's very bold and expressive, but in an egotistical way, let's say they're spreading their lats, for example, then you understand how to approach this situation. We don't match this energy. We automatically make them feel this state of dominance. And here, this is where it gets interesting. As we allow them to feel that state of dominance, they feel like they're in control. Now, afterwards, what we can do is because we're building rapport right now, we can switch the tables. Not saying that we're going to over dominate them, but it's more so, okay, cool, I've given you control. You feel safe around me. Now I can move the conversation into a different avenue because I've made you feel seen again and heard. So understanding these different personalities and these traits, allowing them to feel it, allowing them to feel dominant, and then changing the direction of the conversation, changing the avenue of the conversation. So that's another thing as well that I highly recommend people doing, allowing people to feel that state of dominance and then changing it afterwards.
That's really, I've never thought about that. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I would like to add on when you were talking about raising your eyebrows, something that you've mentioned to me before is you can tell if someone's usually agreeable because they've got lines on their foreheads. That's
Yeah,
what you said, yeah? Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another thing is interesting. You can see marks etched on our faces. So, for example, if someone's a very smiley and joyous person, you'll see it, the smile lines right here around the eyes, around the orbital area. If someone's agreeable, you'll see it. I'm very agreeable. You'll see it on their forehead because they're constantly doing that over time. If someone's an angry person or has generally been angry throughout their entirety of their lives, then you see the glabella here. It's usually quite pronounced,
Ah,
be very thick a lot of the
yeah.
times. So you can see how to approach people judging by before they even say anything. You can
Yeah.
understand how to approach them. Just
Yeah.
that, which is so interesting.
Yeah. And I 110% believe in the power of just approaching people and networking. So being able to read those signs and understand, okay, how am I best going to approach this person is going to go a very long way.
Yes, yes, 100%. And I feel as if as human beings, we know this subconsciously.
Oh yeah.
That when we see that glabella, we don't even process it a lot of the times, but we feel there's something about this person which makes me feel a bit weird. And that's the body saying, okay, I've seen this, I've taken in all of these data points. Avoid, red alert, red alert, red alert, move now, basically.
Hmm,
So it's really interesting seeing this.
awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
My
And
pleasure.
for anyone who wants to reach out to you, where would they find you?
Sure. Instagram, Progress Playground, TikTok, Progress Playground, Gmail, if you want to email me, contact at progress-playground.com as well.
Yeah,
And let's chat,
let's chat.
explore the and
And if there was, yeah, if there was one final piece of advice, maybe around articulation, because you are great at that, what would it be?
verbal fluency exercises.
Okay.
Start playing around with verbal fluency exercises. Now, one that I absolutely love is a game called Reverse Conversations. My favorite. You have give a random statement, for example. Let's do this one. I love using portable chargers to charge my phone. Now, the last word in that sentence becomes the first word in the next sentence. My phone. Phones are incredible for connecting with loved ones abroad. Abroad is something that I like to indulge in. Going abroad is something that I like to indulge in because it allows me to feel safe and secure under the sun, and so on and so on and so on. So the more we do this, easier it is for us to articulate our thoughts, think quickly, and have that sense of urgency as well when we're thinking. So play around with these exercises and it'll be so much easier for you to articulate your thoughts. And on top of that, do impromptu speeches every single day. Please, please. Vin Yang was right.
That's right. Yeah. And yeah, I would highly recommend to go check out his content. It honestly it would be changing people's lives. 110% agree. It was great to have you on, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
All
Take care,
right.
Dylan.
See you later.